intake diversion program. How do you do, like, this litter box survival guide, I assume, would be part of that? Do you have data on maybe surrenders that you've prevented because of the resources that you've provided?
Sure, great question. The question was, if somebody calls us with a cat with litter box issues, do we do anything for surrender prevention, and do we have any data on that? So what we do, if somebody calls, we have a pet helpline, which is our centralized number. If they get a call that is behavior in nature or medical, they can then refer people to either our low-cost vet centers to get that medical piece going, or to our behavior and training group. That was that QR code that was up there, that our behavior and training school has a free course on all things litter box for an hour. I don't know, to my knowledge, if we're tracking that data of how many cats. No, Graham says no. So, we will, do our darndest to try to get those folks low-cost vet care, get the medical needs addressed, and then they can talk to one of our behavior and trainers on the phone, get some tips and trick and help so we can keep those cats in their home, because that would be most ideal. Yes?
So are you advertising these cats like public-facing, like customer-facing? Do they know up front, hey, I'm looking at Fluffy, and Fluffy is part of our Fresh Start program, or is it something that you just reserve that conversation at the time of adoption to not deter people from being like, I'm not going to look at Fluffy because already that cat has issues?
Sure, great question. So the question was, do we advertise these cats up front as having litter box issues in the past, or is that something we kind of save? So how we do it right now is we do wait for that adoption process. Our adoption process is conversational based, so that is something that we'll go over at the time of adoption. So it isn't something that we kind of blare out there. I think there'd be a little bit of a negative connotation with those cats, and because we have the data to say this is so successful, we really want to kind of instill that in people that say, hey, I know this sounds kind of weird, but we've been doing this for years, the data's really good, this is why we think it works. So that's a conversation that we have with the adopters at that time.
It's a little column A, column B, so yes, we don't have it out there, but it's not after we ran the credit card, I promise, on that side of it. It is the, hey, tell me more about this kitty. That's where we have adoption volunteers that have access to all their records, that they'll go through all of the information on it that includes the litter box history and does that. So it's not quite at the end, but yeah, it is something that we don't put it on the website. Good question.
From the behavior side, what are your thoughts, or do you have experience with folks with like the automated, like the litter robots? Do you see more or less concerns with those, or none at all?
Yeah, great question. The question was about those automated cat litter boxes. So, what we used to say, right, some cats can be really sensitive. This is going back to every cat's an individual. So some cats with those automated boxes, right, it can be really weird to go in and use the bathroom, and then a couple minutes later it makes this really robotic sound, and it comes and it sweeps up the litter, and that could be a little weird for some cats. A lot of cats do just fine with that. So that kind of goes back to that individual preference of that cat. So what I usually recommend is to not take away a normal litter box if you're introducing a robotic one. I haven't seen too many cats come through our door that was the trigger for the litter box. It's probably only been about 1 or 2. And the people simply really wanted that automated litter box. They didn't want to scoop a litter box. So, they surrendered the cat. The behavior team took a look at it, said, hey, this cat just needs a normal litter box. We'll let people know that. So, if you're going to introduce one, make sure the cat still has access to their old litter box, just a normal litter box. So if they do have some sort of weird aversion to the mechanical one, that they still have access to a normal box they can use, so they don't use your clothes or your couch or your bed. So yeah, great question. Yes?
How do you minimize shelter stress during their reset period?
Oh, great question. How do we minimize shelter stress during the reset period? So, I'm gonna sound like a broken record. Every cat is an individual, right? So if we have a cat that's in the wall cage, we've got the portals open, they're doing okay, we'll let them have their reset in that space. If we've got a cat that is showing signs of shelter stress, if we know that wall cage is too stressful for them, we have other options to house them. We have an office cat program where we have folks that open up their offices to these cats. We have some that don't have carpet in them, so if we've got maybe a little bit of a concern this cat might do something outside the litter box, or maybe they're vomiting or something like that, we'll put them in a non-carpeted office. We also have our colony spaces on the adoption floor, so we can house them up there, we can give them a trial up there. We are currently closed for adoptions on Monday, so the behavior team has kind of taken that as an opportunity to move cats up on Sunday, give them then Sunday night and all of Monday to acclimate to the adoption floor before we're open to the public, and make sure everything's copacetic when they're up there.
What are your thoughts on indoor-outdoor
as a solution for the urinating inside the house, do you ever look at, well, whether or not they should be in, a friendly barn cat, or how do you talk about that?
Yeah.
I'll start, you can talk about it first. We do have, I think we call it barn and business cat, because we started it as working cat and there's a group in California that calls themselves working cats that told us not to call it that anymore. But, so, we have a barn and business cat program, that we will divert some of those cats to, if we really think they're gonna be a great companion cat or great around people, but they're just not gonna use a litter box. Otherwise, it is complicated. Do you let them outside? Do you give them the dog door? In general, I don't think we have a specific AHS stance on it, so this is thoughts of Graham. This is not thoughts of Animal Humane Society on this part of it. But there's a quality of life for cats going outside. The average lifespan of an outdoor cat is 3 years. The average lifespan of an indoor cat is 13, at least the last time I saw the numbers on it. It might even be gray from that data though. But there's a quality of life of cats going outside as well. And if you can have that cat in your home because of it, that's great on its own right. So it's one where we will not tell someone you have to keep your cat inside at all times and never give that as an option. I don't have a great answer for you, but other than it's complicated, and we will use barn cats as we can. Anything else?
Yeah, we can, also split the difference too. If we have a cat that we know likes to spend time outside, we can recommend, taking them on a leash or putting that sort of pulley system in your yard or supervised time in the yard, a catio if they're really lucky. So, we can recommend things like that that keep them safe outside but still give them access to that enrichment that they might want.
I guess I often wonder, because a lot of cats come in as adult strays. They were outside and doing things outside, and then they come in and then they're adopted. Because they're friendly, they're adopted into an indoor home, but maybe they're stressed because they were used to being outside before and now it's new to them. So, just curious.
And we do, similar to the talk before, we fully embrace our return to field program. If they were successful outside before, we've had debates on how long you have to be out of a niche to have lost that niche. If it was an adoption return from 6 months ago, that environment might have changed enough where we don't want to return them in that situation. It would more be relocation we'd be looking at, but if it's been a month or two, we've literally had debates on do we return them or not, and we usually want to throw them back out to live a good, happy life out. So.
Yeah.
Great. Really appreciate the questions. Hope it's been good, useful information for y'all. And I believe we have a 15-minute break and then our final speaker. Half hour or 15?
15.
15. 15 minutes.